Welcome to a new episode of the show. I'm Gwen. I am recording this podcast on a Saturday night. Who records a podcast on a Saturday night? Well, a mom with an 8-week-old newborn baby. I am honestly so thrilled to be recording this. And today's episode is a very simple message, and it's both a teachable moment and one that is unfolding as I'm sharing it. Today's episode is all about giving yourself a dose of self-compassion. As I was approaching this week's podcast, I had some big dreams, okay? Big dreams. I wanted to share my story of how I paid off $50,000 of debt. And it's going to be a pretty good episode. It's going to come out because to live an awesome life, it really feels good to take away that anchor of consumer debt and student loan debt. And I'm really excited to transparently share how I went about doing that. Now, here's the thing. Every time I went to sit down and record the podcast this week, something came up. Little baby started crying. And I even went as far when I was recording it, strap him in, and then he's still crying. It's like, okay. Or I would go to record it, and then I just felt like I was forcing the story out. It wasn't really fun to tell. And so at this point in my life, at this point in my spiritual journey, oh God, I got to listen to those moments and really surrender to that feeling of we're not forcing life anymore. I have done that for so long. And even times what just popped to mind was when I was producing a show that got picked up for the Oprah Winfrey Network in Canada. That was a real dream of mine, to work in the Oprah Winfrey realm in the world. And I just remember the day that I got the email that the show was getting picked up for OWN Canada. I didn't even feel anything because I had been working so hard and pushing and not enjoying the journey, that when that email came in, I was like, cool, but like, I'm exhausted. It wasn't, and I remember I was alone in a hotel room, and it was just like not the vibe, because if you don't enjoy the journey, getting the actual thing, the outcome, doesn't feel very good. And that leads exactly into part of the reason that I am even recording this right now, because it feels very out of character for me to not have a complete plan as a type A perfectionist. But that's what I want to talk about. I have been reading the book called The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. I kept seeing this book on the internet, and I'm like, I'm not reading that. I don't need to lose control. I'm not a perfectionist. I don't know what came over me this week, but I thought I'm just going to try the sample chapter. Like, it just came into my world enough times that it was like, okay, it's a little hint from the universe. Check it out. So I check out the book. I just take the sample chapter and do a quiz in the book. And then I'm absolutely hooked. And now I'm almost done the book, and it's so highlighted. But to go back to self-compassion, that is why I am here today, to deliver the message that we need a little bit more self-compassion for ourselves. And I want to read a little piece in the book that really stuck with me. And just if you're coming across this podcast, it's clearly a sign that you get to turn a little bit of that self-compassion toward some compassion towards yourself right now, because life is busy, life is intense, life asks a lot of us all the time. And how often are we giving our energy and our power away? Not right now. This is a call to take it back. So here's what is written in the book by the author, Catherine. Exercising self-compassion is one of our greatest powers. It will change your life. When you learn to be compassionate with yourself, no matter what, you carry safety with you wherever you go. And perfectionists find an emphasis on self-compassion to be superfluous. Be nicer to myself. Got it. But we're ready for a real solution. But we need to understand that self-compassion is the primary solution. Self-compassion is the primary solution. And as I'm reading this book, and I'm just putting it out there, I shared about the book on social media, and Catherine reshared my stories. And I mean, if you're listening to this, we know that or my dream. It would be really amazing to actually interview Catherine at some point in time and really go deeper into the book. It's so good. You don't even need to talk to her. It's just, I have real, like, I just want to sit with her and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I've never felt more seen by a book. So self-compassion, that is our primary power. And if you're someone like me who has big dreams, you want to create things in the world, you have high standards for yourself, we're going to need to put out a few podcasts that are not plan A, that are not perfect, that are not perfectly scripted and feel fantastic. Something else from the book that really stuck with me, though, was the idea of decompression activities and also fun or restorative, what did she call it? Restorative activities, something called active relaxation. It's also like play. But to me, a restorative activity is actually podcasting. After sharing some stories of what I'm learning on this journey in life, I actually feel so much more energized and excited. So it's fun to do this. And reading that book really helped me realize that that's a restorative activity. Hence why on a Saturday night, here we are. So how I want to actually just end the podcast is with a little bit of magic, a little bit of what's the word? We're mixing it up. I'm going to just pull a card because I just want to see what life has in store for all of us listening today, and then get on your way with a little bit of kindness towards yourself. So what's the card we're going to get today, everyone? This says, I can see my world through the eyes of Source. By choosing better feeling thoughts and by speaking more of what you do want and less of what you do not want, you are gently tuning yourself to the frequency of your broader perspective. To see your world through the eyes of Source is truly the most spectacular view of life. For from that vibrational vantage point, you are in alignment with and therefore in the process of attracting only what you consider to be the very best of your world. There's a lot of words there. And what I'm really getting from this is that, especially tying into self-compassion, is that is the eyes of Source. That is our highest, best self. If we can see the world through the eyes of self-compassion, love for ourselves, good things are going to happen. I need one more just because you only live once. Oh, life is always working out for me. I like understanding that things are always evolving, and while there are many that could be better where I am, it is not really a problem because where I am is constantly changing to something better. I like knowing that as I look for the best things around me where I am, those things become more prevalent in my experience. It is fun to know that things are always working out for me, and as I watch for the evidence of that, I see more evidence of that every day. So everyone, this is a life intervention and a reminder that life is always working out for you. Don't force it. Manage your mood. Go with the flow. Trust that if something's not working when you want it to work, let it go, even if you are a perfectionist, and have a little bit of compassion for yourself and know that it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Thank you so much for listening or watching on YouTube. It would be so amazing if you enjoyed this episode. Even though it's not perfect, you would rate it, subscribe, or leave a review. That would be iconic. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week.